10 R&B singers, 10 men whose voices filled your speakers, your car, your house parties. Smooth, soulful voices that made you feel love in your bones.
I can't hold it much longer. It's getting stronger.
But behind every love song, behind every slow jam, there was a door most people never got to see behind, and what was happening on the other side of that door.
Girl, where did you come from? Got me so undone.
These are the 10 R&B singers who terrorized the people who were closest to them. The ones who had nowhere to run. The ones who, in some cases, still haven't fully recovered. Let's count it down. Number 10, Trey Songz. Here's something that doesn't get brought up enough when Trey Songz comes on the radio. You hear Neighbors Know My Name. You hear Can't Help But Wait. And it's smooth, sensual. That voice makes you lean back. But there's another side of that story. And it started surfacing publicly in 2018, February of that year, NBA All-Star Weekend in Los Angeles.
If you want me, say, hold up.
A woman named Andrea Buera came forward and said Trey Songz, born Tremaine Neverson, beat her so badly at a Hollywood Hills party that she ended up in the hospital with a concussion.
Let me hear you say, if you want me, say,
She said he was upset because she was talking to another man, that he choked her, punched her, knocked her to the ground. Her attorney held a press conference and showed the bruises.
I get you home, or would you be mine? I got the whip out front, we can lead like.
Trey turned himself into the lap felony domestic violence arrest, $50,000 bond. He went on Twitter and said he was being falsely accused.
We don't buy no drinks at the bar. Pop champagne, 'cause we got that dough.
His attorney said his tweet summed it up. Nobody was charged. The DA didn't prosecute. But here's what's wild.
Maple-leaf dash, you're feeling like Toronto. Make your body ride. Puffin'.
That wasn't the end of it. 2021 Las Vegas. A woman reports a sexual assault at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. A police officer, an off-duty Maryland Capitol police officer, heard his wife screaming from inside Songz' hotel room.
I know you're thirsty. Say say what? Say.
He broke in to get her out, and Songz and his security allegedly beat the officer so badly. The man's eye sockets were fractured, scarred. The officer lost wages. He sued.
Bottles of that rosé, smelling like Dolce & Gabbana. Shout out you the baddest enemy.
And in 2024, a judge ordered Trey Songz to pay $11 million in that civil judgment. $11 million.
So get here, baby, let me fill it up, go.
And if you've ever had to decide whether to believe someone, whether to give the benefit of the doubt, and then a second story came out, and then a third, that's a different kind of reckoning.
Hey, look, shot it dance like a video vixen.
It's not one incident, it's a pattern. And patterns don't lie. His music still plays. His voice still sounds the same, but the picture doesn't.
Hey, go girl, it's your birthday. Open wide, I know you're thirsty.
Number 9, Keith Sweat. If you were alive in the late 80s and early 90s, you know what Keith Sweat meant. Make it last forever, Twisted. Nobody. That man built his whole brand on devotion, on wanting, on begging a woman not to leave. The irony of that isn't lost on me. Because behind that image, the needy lover, the man who couldn't live without you, there was a different reality behind closed doors. And the woman who knew that reality best was his ex-wife, Lisa Wu. Most people know Lisa Wu from the first season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. But years before the cameras, she was living inside a marriage that she later described as physically and verbally violent.
I want your body to the bed.
She sat down with Essence magazine and told the story without naming names, though the context made it clear who she was talking about.
Let me say something, maybe
She described waking up one morning to her abuser pacing beside the bed. She described being grabbed by the neck, slammed. And then, and this is the part that stays with me, she said he threatened to pour hot oil on her face so no other man would want her. That's not just violence, that's control. That's someone trying to permanently mark a woman so she can't leave. Their marriage lasted from 1992 to 2002. They had 2 sons together. And when the custody battle played out in court later, the judge actually acknowledged that Keith Sweat had been abusive to Lisa. It's in the court record. The judge acknowledged the abuse and still made his decision based on other factors. And if you've ever tried to explain to someone that abuse doesn't always look the way they think, that it can live inside a home full of nice things, and famous names and smooth R&B on the stereo, you know exactly why these stories matter. Some of y'all just thought about someone you know. I see you. Number 8, Bobby Brown. Here's the thing about Bobby Brown. It would be easy and lazy to frame this as a Whitney Houston story. That's been done 1,000 times. People blame Bobby for everything, and honestly, the full picture was always more complicated than that. But here's what we know, what's documented. 2003, police respond to a 911 call at the couple's home in Georgia. They find Whitney Houston with a bruised cheek and a cut lip. Bobby Brown is charged with misdemeanor battery. His publicist issues a statement that he is very apologetic about what happened. Months later, Whitney is photographed beside him in court when he turns himself in. She's singing along to Aretha Franklin in the car on the way out. That image has haunted people ever since because it's a perfect picture of what cycles of abuse actually look like from the inside. You don't just leave. It's not that simple. Whitney later sat down with Oprah and described what happened in that house. She talked about a night he spat on her, in her face, while their daughter, Bobby Christina, was coming down the stairs and saw the whole thing. I took the phone, Whitney said, and I hit him over the head with it. And even then, even telling that story, years later, she didn't frame herself as a victim. She was too strong for that, or too conditioned not to be. Bobby Brown has denied being violent with Whitney. He said the public record is wrong. In 2016, he told ABC's Robin Roberts that he had hit her once. In 2018, promoting a TV show about his own life, he reversed that, said he never hit her intentionally. What's not disputed, the bruises were real, the 911 call was real, the charge was real, and Bobby Christina is gone now. And Whitney is gone now. And sometimes the full cost of what happens behind those doors doesn't show up until years later. Number 7, Marvin Gaye. Stay with me on this one. Because Marvin Gaye is sacred. I know that. You know that. Let's get it on. Sexual healing. What's going on? The man gave us some of the most transcendent music ever recorded, and he also bought his second wife's own account, Terrorised her. Janice Hunter was 17 when Marvin Gaye, who was 34 and still married to his first wife, became obsessed with her. That age gap is uncomfortable to sit with. and it gets more uncomfortable from there.
Feeling is something that's good for me.
They had 2 children together before they were ever married. They finally wed in 1977, and what Janice described in her 2015 memoir, After the Dance. My life with Marvin Gaye was a relationship defined by drug abuse, psychological manipulation, and violence.
I can tell, darling, that it's sexual heat.
She described a knife to the throat incident. She described being coerced in a sexual situation she didn't agree to. She described a man whose genius and his darkness existed in exactly the same space, and if you were close enough to the genius, you were also close enough to the darkness. Their divorce was finalized in 1981. 2 years later, Marvin Gaye was shot and killed by his own father the day before his 45th birthday. The full story of that household, when you know Marvin was abused by his father too, you start to understand that cycles of violence don't appear from nowhere. They get handed down generation to generation. And here's what gets me about this. Janice Hunter spent most of her life not being believed, because how do you accuse a man whose music feels like God? How do you speak against the legacy that whole communities have built their identities around? She wrote the book anyway. She died in 2022. She was 66. And whether you believe everything she wrote or not, she deserved to be heard. Number 6, Mystikal.
And don't worry about how I'm ripping this shit when I'm flipping, what I'm kicking, nigga, this.
If you grew up in the South or if you were around in the early 2000s, you know Mystikal.
Fuck a dollar, girl, pick up 50. And fuck a coward, girl, you need a real nigga.
Shake your ass. Danger. Here I go. That man had an energy that was impossible to ignore. Raw, explosive. His label called him the Tiger of Rap.
Chocolate and bow-legged when I'm running up behind her.
But in 2002, while he was at the height of his commercial success, something happened that most people don't talk about.
Scared, cause you gon' get served. You get mine, then you gon' get germed. About to make your ass.
Mystikal's hairdresser came to his home, and what happened to her there resulted in Mystikal pleading guilty in 2003 to sexual battery.
Remember what you're working with. Shake your ass. Watch yourself. Shake your ass.
He was sentenced to 6 years in a Louisiana state prison. He served every day of it. But here's the part that doesn't make the highlight reel.
Niggas make noise when you pass by. Get your fine ass on the floor, girl. It's your fucking song. Do your thing, don't.
When he got out, it wasn't over. In 2022, he was arrested again, this time on charges of first-degree rape, second-degree kidnapping, and other charges involving allegations from 2020.
Ass. Watch yourself. Shake your ass. Show me what you think. I'm from a fire like.
He was held in Caddo Parish Jail. He pleaded not guilty. That's 2 decades of allegations. 2 different women. 2 different seasons of his life.
Shake your ass. Watch yourself. Shake your ass. Show me what you're working with.
And for those who've stood by his music through all of it, and there are plenty, I understand the pull. The music is real. The talent is real. But the women who said what happened to them are real too. And their stories deserve space in the same conversation as the record.
I told y'all niggas before, y'all niggas can't fuck with me.
Some of y'all remember exactly where you were the first time you heard Shake Your Ass. And if you're sitting with something complicated right now, holding the music in one hand and the facts in the other, that discomfort is actually the right response. It means you're paying attention.
But I know you do it way better. You're dead wrong. So if you told about it.
Number 5, Sean Diddy Cone.
My friend, try to black it out, but it plays again. When it's real, feeling's hard to conceal.
For a long time, the rumors lived in the margins. People whispered things. But Puffy, Diddy, Puff Daddy, Love, whatever name he was going by, had enough power that the whispers stayed whispers.
It's kinda hard with you not around. Know you in heaven.
Then came November 2023. R&B singer Cassie, Cassandra Ventura, filed a federal lawsuit in Manhattan. She had been with Combs since 2007 when she was 22 and he was 37. She'd been signed to his label since she was 19, and in that lawsuit, she described over a decade of what she called violent behavior, physical beatings, forced drug use, being controlled in ways most people can barely imagine.
Big, I miss you so much. Come on, y'all.
The lawsuit was settled one day after it was filed, one day, and people said, okay, well, it's settled. No admission, move on. Then in May 2024, CNN published a security camera video from a Los Angeles hotel, March 2016. And on that video, you can see Combs kicking Cassie, dragging her, throwing a vase at her in the hallway.
New clothes and kicks, you and me taking flicks, making hits, stages, they receive you.
She's in a towel. He grabs her by the back of the neck and throws her into the wall. There is no ambiguity on that tape. There is no he said, she said. There is a camera and a hallway, and what you see is what it is.
Life after death.
Cassie, responding to the video, wrote, "Domestic violence is the issue. It broke me down to someone I never thought I would become."
Life after death. Every step I take, put your peace out.
September 2024, federal agents raided his homes. He was arrested. And in July 2025, a jury convicted Sean Combs on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. He received a 50-month prison sentence and is currently appealing. The empire is gone. The parties are over. And the women who tried to tell their stories for years are still telling them. Now with the world finally listening. Number 4, Chris Brown. February 8, 2009, the night before the Grammy Awards. 2 of the biggest young artists in music are driving through Los Angeles. They're 20 years old. They're in love, or what passes for love at 20 when you're that famous, that intense, that volatile.
Look what I can do with my feet, baby. Feel the beating time.
And then the car stops and everything changes. Rihanna found a text message on Chris Brown's phone from another woman. She confronted him. The argument escalated.
It's a long way down. It's so high.
And what happened in that car, documented in a police affidavit that later became public record, was brutal. He punched her repeatedly. He put her in a headlock. He bit her fingers. He bit her ear.
We can be 2 rebels. Breaking.
She was screaming for help. Blood was filling her mouth. And then he walked away from the car and left her there. He pleaded guilty to felony assault in June 2009. 5 years probation, community service.
You join me in the middle of ecstasy.
Mandatory domestic violence counseling. His sponsors dropped him overnight. Radio stations pulled his music. He came back, of course. He always came back. And that comeback, that slow reacceptance, is its own conversation.
Around you.
Because Rihanna herself later described sitting in that car and thinking, when is it going to stop? She said she looked at him and saw no person, just blank, no soul in his eyes. You know what's strange about that? Millions of people have danced to this man's music since. Millions of people still will tonight, and I'm not here to tell you what to do with that. But if you've ever looked at someone you loved and seen nothing looking back at you, you know exactly what Rihanna was describing in that car. And you know it stays with you. Number 3, James Brown.
So good. I got you.
The godfather of soul, the hardest working man in show business, the man who gave us I Got You, Sex Machine. It's a man's world. And here's what I didn't know, what most people don't know until you start digging. Between 1987 and 1995, James Brown was arrested on charges of domestic violence against his third wife, Adrienne Rodriguez, on 4 separate occasions. 4 times.
I knew that I would not.
On one of those occasions, he beat her with a mop handle and fired a rifle at the car she was driving. He was charged with assault with intent to murder. That charge was never prosecuted.
I feel good.
Between 1984 and 1988, Adrienne made 12 documented 911 calls about domestic violence. 12 calls.
I got you. Wow, I feel good.
He was also arrested in 1988 after he walked into an insurance seminar with a shotgun, held it briefly, then led police on a car chase across state lines, for which he eventually served prison time.
When I hold you in my arms.
His wife at the time said he was not in his right mind. She may have been trying to protect him. Adrienne Brown died in January 1996. She was 46.
My love won't do you no harm, and I feel.
And then in 2004, at age 70, James Brown was arrested again, this time for allegedly pushing his 4th wife, Tommy Ray, to the floor and threatening to kill her while holding a chair over her.
I feel nice. A sugar and
She had bruises and scratches on her arm and hip. He forfeited his bond and effectively pled guilty, receiving a conviction on his record.
so nice. I got you.
His daughter Yama wrote in her memoir that she was terrified of her father growing up. Until I was grown, every time I heard him raise his voice, even when he was talking business on the phone, I shook with fear.
So good. So good. I got you.
The godfather of soul, and a man 4 different women were afraid of in 4 different decades.
I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you.
Number 2, R. Kelly.
I'm leaning on the air.
Robert Kelly, the king of R&B. I Believe I Can Fly, Step in the Name of Love, Bump and Grind. The man sold over 75 million records, wrote songs for Michael Jackson, won Grammys.
See me running through that open door. I believe.
For a whole generation, his voice was the soundtrack of love, and his ex-wife, Andrea Kelly, a professional dancer he married in 1986, spent 13 years inside a reality that most people couldn't imagine.
If I just believe it, then
She broke her silence publicly in 2018, sat down on national television and described what those 13 years actually looked like.
'cause I believe in this.
She talked about a night in the back of a Hummer, his arm pressed against her neck so hard she couldn't breathe. She said she survived by telling him, "Robert, you're going to kill me. I can't breathe." She described being hogtied.
Now I was on the verge of breaking.
She said she obtained a restraining order against him in 2005 after he attacked her when she asked for a divorce. "I thought I was going to die," she said on camera. "I thought I was going to die."
Spread my wings and fly away.
She had 3 children with this man. She stayed, she said, because she had no money, nowhere to go, and no one who believed her.
Everlasting arms.
Because the power he had, the money, the lawyers, the industry connections, made her feel like she had no way out. And she wasn't the only one.
I believe I can soar.
The investigations, the documentaries, the civil lawsuits, decades of women saying the same things, and for decades the industry looked the other way.
I can see it. And I can do.
In September 2021, R. Kelly was convicted on 9 federal counts, including racketeering and sex trafficking. In 2022, he was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. 30 years.
There's nothing to it.
He'll be 85 years old when he's eligible for a fleece. And Andrea Kelly speaking after the verdict. "My heart breaks as a mother because this is now the legacy my children will have to deal with."
See me running through that old
That's the reality of what he left behind.
side.
Number 1. Ike Turner. Ike Turner was brilliant, musically brilliant, one of the architects of rock and roll. He assembled bands, produced records, and had an ear for talent that was genuinely extraordinary. He found Anime Bullet. He gave her a stage name, Tina Turner, and then he spent 16 years making her wish she'd never had that name at all. Tina described what it was like to live with Ike Turner in her 1986 autobiography, and then she described it again in interviews, and then in a 2021 documentary, because she knew, even after all of it, that her story mattered, that other women needed to hear it and know they weren't alone. He burned her with coffee, beat her with shoes, with hangers, with his fists. He broke her jaw. He broke her nose. He had her perform on stage the same night he'd done these things to her, and audiences watched this woman sing, her heart out, never knowing what was underneath the costume. And if you've ever had to perform, to smile, to show up, to act like everything was fine, when your whole world was falling apart, you know what kind of strength that takes. The kind that doesn't even feel like strength anymore. It feels like survival.
If you come down to the river, I bet you're gonna find some people who...
Tina tried to take her own life in 1968. She described it in the most heartbreaking terms. She wanted out. Not just out of the marriage, out of everything. Because she couldn't see another way.
You don't have to worry if you got no money. People on the river.
She found one though on July 1st, 1976. After Ike beat her the entire ride from the Dallas airport to their hotel, leaving her with a swollen face and blood on her white suit.
Rolling down the river.
She waited until he fell asleep and she walked out with 36 cents and a mobile gas credit card. 36 cents, and from that, she built one of the greatest second acts in music history.
Rolling down the river.
Ike Turner died in 2007. He was cremated. His remains were reportedly thrown away after no family member claimed them.
Rolling down the river.
Tina Turner died in 2023. She was 83 years old, living peacefully in Switzerland, surrounded by people who loved her. The ending mattered, and we don't have to pretend otherwise.